We're glad to bring in Pat Forde now for more perspective on all this. Pat, when you heard the news a few moments ago, what were your first thoughts?
Very surprised, Mark. Mike, I'm sorry. There's been a lot of speculation about Mark Dantonio near the end of the season, and then it went away by, everybody's reckoning. It looked like he would be back again in 2020. For it to come at an end at this time, certainly I think caught everybody by surprise.
What did he do best as a head coach?
Well, he was a great program builder. He built an identity at Michigan State. They were a tough, defensive-minded, no-frills, underdog mentality sort of team, and a program that relished kind of spitting in the eye of the glamour programs in the Big Ten East, in Ohio State and at Michigan, certainly. He welcomed the challenge of being in that position, and he was incredibly successful for a long time. That's probably overly stubborn and loyal at the end, and that probably cost him, but still, the success that he had at a place like Michigan State is not easily replicated, and they had some of the best years in program history with Mark Dantonio.
Pat, how did he do that? We remember the days before him. You could argue one of the main images the few years before Dantonio was John L. Smith smacking himself in the face while doing an interview on the field. The program was never able to be consistent, and he took them to where they were winning multiple Big Ten championships and, as I mentioned, even a spot in the playoffs. How was he able to do that when he had to battle Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State all along?
Well, I think he was a smart recruiter. They developed a niche in recruiting. They did well both in Michigan and certainly in Ohio and other areas in the upper Midwest. But we're going to go get guys that maybe were overlooked by the Buckeyes, maybe were overlooked by the Wolverines, but they were tough guys. They were physical football players, and they kind of wanted to be in that sort of underdog mentality program, and I think he just kind of built an identity around those players. So I think savvy recruiting, a very good tactician, certainly defensively. They were good enough offensively to win Big Ten titles, to beat more talented teams, really, quite frankly, that Urban Meyer had at Ohio State. He built a program that never seemed very satisfied until the end, and then I think they kind of sat back on their laurels and did not necessarily change with the times.
Top to bottom, how will his time in East Lansing be remembered?
I think he'll be remembered as arguably the best best coach in Michigan State history. I think that the good years will certainly outweigh the bad. We'll see if there's a lingering stain of any kind from some of the off-the-field stuff, particularly some of the things that have happened just here within the last, few months there. I think that's still to be determined, but I think Michigan State fans now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, will look back and say, man, the Mark Dantonio era was a lot of fun. We won a lot of games, and we had a great time.
Pat, before I let you go, early February is not traditionally the best time to look for a new head coach. So how does Michigan State start this search?
Yeah, it's definitely not. That's for sure. You're going to be asking someone, unless you promote within, and I don't think that would be well received at all. But I think if you go on the outside, you're asking someone to leave a place where they've already set the mechanics in motion for 2020. Now, that still doesn't mean that they won't have some attractive candidates, most notably Luke Fickell, I think, from Cincinnati, Pat Narduzzi, former Dantonio assistant at Michigan State, who's now at Pitt. So, I think both those guys could be prime targets. They're defense-first guys. I think they get and understand Michigan State. They get and understand the Big Ten. And I think both of them would be very good hires whichever one, if they could get them.
Pat Forde, thank you so much for your time. Great insight as Mark Dantonio steps down as the Spartan head coach. We appreciate it, Pat.
Thank you, Mike.